Guys. I am going to talk to you today about why I chose to do campus discussion modules with my second graders and how easy it can be. So hopefully this will be a quick, simple way. I'm not very tech savvy at all, but I just decided to try something new. The reason I tried something new, as you probably had seen in the presentation, was that during our day of planning, I decided that I didn't see our scores go up with a lot of my higher students, so I wanted to try something to challenge them. So what I did was just quickly asked Carrie Morey to help me. I knew she had done discussions with her kids, so I just asked her really quickly to show me how to set it up, and so I just set it up as a discussion board for them. But I wanted to talk to you about just simple, quick ways to make it happen in your classroom, because I was really unsure at first how it would work. And I decided to first just establish norms like you would establish norms with anything else. I decided, oops, my phone is ringing. But I decided to first just try it with one reading group to see how it would work. So I just established norms. We talked about, we didn't really write it down on an acre chart, which and you know, going back and learning, I feel like that might be a little bit more beneficial, so that it's right there, and how we use technology in a way that is going to help us and not distract us. But I think that establishing norms, just like anything else, takes time, and it takes some prep and front loading to it. And so that the day that I introduced this, my reading group did go a little bit longer, but as soon as the kids caught on to this, I was able to get them rolling, and it didn't take any time at all to get that going. So that would be my first thing I would try, is just try to see what they know and go from there. Also, just the logistics of it takes a lot sometimes it just takes a lot of effort to try to get something rolling. But I think that just with any activity, you have to really establish what that looks like in your classroom. So for me, it was just figuring out where a good space would be for them to go. So if you're working with the younger kiddos, I just decided that it would be a great way to do right after my reading. So right after reading, right into their corners and into their independent time. So instead of doing a reading log and a reading response journal, this is the reading response. So you can do it probably with anything, but for me, what works best as far as the reading workshop model goes, just repeating what I want them to do before they leave me, and then send them on their way and expect to see that. And usually just checking up and making sure that I have good models and I am immediately giving them feedback is important for the first couple times, I would say. And then as you do that, they're going to get more comfortable with that, and they're going to be able to know what your expectations are, just like anything. So I would encourage you to, for me, what works best is using a space. Like I'm at my table now. Let me see if I can turn my camera so that you can see my space. Well, anyway, I have a space in my room. Can't figure this out, but I have a space in my room that's directly across from me that I can see them super quick. And I just make that the area of where the Chromebooks stay, unless there's too many people over there, and I say that you have to be at your desk. So just making those norms just right away set clearly is really important. And then just not to forget that it's blended. That has been the key to them being successful, I think, with this in the room, is that we're using common graphic organizers. For me, I use a graphic organizer for a lot of reading strategies, and specifically with this group, I was using one for summarizing and one that we've used over and over again. It wasn't new learning, but I was able to have them use that after they were finished reading their story with me, Then they take it, they have to work on their graphic organizer, handwrite it, and use that to help them with understanding and asking the high order thinking questions. So the questions can vary, but specifically it's about the text that they're reading, it's about our learning, and it's asking them to think harder and think in deeper ways that they may not if otherwise. And for me, I was able to understand a little bit more what's going on in the room at any time. And I think that that's very powerful for students who are, sometimes they don't turn their work in. So for now, it's working really well. I'll let you know, I'll update you, but it's working really well for the accountability piece as well. So just remembering to keep it blended, because that is important. The writing and the thinking with the graphic organizers is just as important, but it gives them something to look forward to put it on campus and for their peers to see what they're doing. And which takes me into my next point, the STEM. I use a STEM with whatever I'm asking them. I'll give them an example. I'll give them a question or an example. So, for example, I asked the question, what do you think their characters learned from their story? And you need to give me a reason why. So I would give them an example, and you might have seen that in the presentation. Then I gave them an example STEM. So in my opinion, I think this because and this. So giving two reasons. I started doing that because I noticed that they were not. And that was my learning when I first started. Taking it slow, scaffolding it, because at first I said, okay, you're going to do this, and then reply to a couple people, and they were not able to do that at all. So thinking where they are, and learning takes time, and learning takes, it takes a lot of times where you're failing and you're having to figure stuff out. So that is the biggest thing that I learned is modeling it for them. Even through technology, you can model it for them and giving them that immediate feedback. So I guess that's all that I have. I know it seems brief and simple, but it really is. And I encourage you to try it in your classroom and in guided reading, because it was super powerful and it allowed for engagement in my classroom. I wasn't getting the engagement I needed from my students who take a little bit more of higher thinking skills, and they wanted to learn more. So I'm encouraged. Again, I only use this for my two highest reading groups, but I would like to eventually have my whole class do it. But at this point, I think it's mostly beneficial for them. So the last thing I have for you is I would encourage you to try it. So think about ways that you can try it in your classroom and what that is going to look like in your room and with your students, because every room's different. But I would encourage you to try it. Sorry, I'm running out of breath and my throat's hurting. So just think about what's one way that you can model this for your students. And then you can post your thoughts. All right, see ya.